In preparation for his third fight against Deontay Wilder, the Gypsy King Tyson Fury has emerged from hibernation to reveal his ideal scenario for future fights. Here's Tyson Fury with BT Sports on what the rest of 2021 in his career will look like if he has it his way.
I'm going to fight Wilder in October 9th. I'll fight Dylan White back in the UK for the first time in years at a stadium up the north here somewhere, Manchester or something, in December. Let's get a date in December. I'll shut that bum right up. That'll be an easy one. And then I'll fight Joshua in March time, where it's in Saudi Arabia. Let's do it. And then we can have a rematch in the summer back here at Wembley. And then I'll go out in my last fifth fight. That'll be about however long, 2 years, and I'll fight Derek Chisora. That's 5 fights, yeah? And then I'll take 2 years out of the ring, just going absolutely nuts again, Frank, and I'll come back at 37 and wipe the floor of whoever's next. Because it'll take 2 years to build someone up.
That's the man with a plan.
There you go. And that may seem ridiculous, but considering that I said I was going to be world heavyweight champion from being 7 years old, and I said every single thing I was ever going to do, and did it, you cannot write me off at all.
I know it's almost taboo to look ahead when you have a big task in front of you when it comes to the sport of boxing. We all know that. Oh, we can't overlook anybody. But then at the same time, we complain about boxing. We don't plan ahead enough. You know, there's no schedule. So here's a man who is scheduling the rest of his career. I don't see anything wrong with that. He just has to be prepared to win every fight in order to execute that. What's your thought?
Well, first of all, I think that some boxers just don't want to talk about whatever you ask them. And they just want to talk about the fight at hand. You know, like when Virgil Ortiz was fighting, he was like, you know, why y'all keep asking me about Terrence Crawford? I don't know if that fight's going to happen. So I can definitely understand that. But if you really want me to give my opinion on this list, some of it sounds funny, especially talking about I'm going to go 2 years and go bonkers again. That's Fury. You know how he does. He just says crazy stuff just for that, but just to sound crazy. But to talk about Dillian White after Wilder in December, now you're talking about you're fighting like Canelo. Now you're talking about you're trying to be as active as Canelo, fighting somebody like Dillian White. And then I don't know who on this planet would call Dillian White an easy fight but him. You know, that's pretty crazy right there.
That was funny.
And then after 2 fights with Joshua, you're going to fight Derek Chisora? Why?
Because I think that's his boy. He want to give him a nice little payday on the way out.
I know. They've been talking about this for years. They fought 2 times already. One was a 10th round stoppage, and the other one was a unanimous decision. But that was both for Fury, but that was 2011, 2014. Like, can we say he deserves it? No. Chisora just had 2 losses. Maybe by that time, after 4 Fury fights, if he can really beat all of these guys, right. You know, maybe he's number 13 in the WBC, so in actuality, he can actually get that fight if Fury wants it. But let me tell you, man, he just named all of these killers. Let's go. Why don't we just go fight per fight? How about that?
Well, here's the thing that he's going to make it a little harder for himself, because those guys sitting back saying, oh, you're planning ahead? Yeah. You're going to beat all of us? That's going to put a little extra spice, you know, on these guys when they're training for him. So, no, it's not going to be easy, Barack. I do respect the man, you know, planning his future. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, people do it in any genre that they're in. And if he were to execute that, imagine that. Imagine in a couple of years from now, he executes and beat all of these guys. How are we going to look at this guy then? Like, my God, you know what I mean? Nostradamus. Wow. So I'm not totally upset with it, but I want him to focus and take every fight serious, especially the one he has coming up against Deontay Wilder, who's been looking great, you know, with Malik Scott. That's not going to be an easy fight at all. So
no, Deontay Wilder without Malik Scott is not an easy fight. You know what I mean? Deontay didn't have his legs that fight. You know what's funny? Everybody's okay about saying Manny Pacquiao didn't have his legs, but nobody wants to say Deontay Wilder didn't have his legs. I guess because his excuse sounded bad to people, so they're just not giving him that credit. But Deontay Wilder is hard for anybody, and if he was to accomplish all of that, damn, man, that would be really incredible.
Hold on. Let's talk hypothetics like we do, Barack. I mean, if he were to execute that, where are we putting Tyson Fury on an all-time heavyweight pound for pound list? I mean, if he executes his dream, career.
Well, Chisora doesn't really add to his legacy.
That's true. In my book, that adds to his his legacy as a friend, like giving his man a payday. In my book, that counts.
I respect that. I respect that. By then, Chisora might be 39 years old. Who knows? No, but I respect that. And you can fight who you want, especially. Look at Floyd got to pick Berto, and Berto's a good fight for anybody. But because it was Floyd, it was like, no, you're not allowed to fight him, Floyd. So if he was to accomplish that, he's definitely one of the greatest heavyweights of all time.
Top three,
especially going out undefeated.
No, but one of the heavyweights that's a cop out, Barack. Top three, give me.
No, because I wouldn't say he's the best.
Top three.
You know what? It's kind of hard. You know what? It's about competition. Competition was harder. When Evander Holyfield was fighting, I believe so. So and names were bigger. Guys had amateur records. You know what I mean? So guys were Olympians and
okay. I'll bail you out.
It's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. But to be undefeated, yes, you're definitely up there, top three. And to beat all of the top guys of this era. It damn sure says a lot. You see, but he doesn't have all of those other guys that like Anthony Joshua has. He doesn't have all of those guys. So in reality, he'll just have Wilder and Joshua and maybe Dylan White. So it's really only three guys.
But he also, in beating, if he were to beat Joshua, he also has kind of whoever Joshua had on his list, to some degree.
Nah.
No, I'm just saying if you
Styles
beat a
make
top,
fights. I don't want to say that.
I get it. But if he beats a Joshua, he gets a lot of credit for that. But either way,
you don't just get all of Joshua's 24 wins.
Oh, you don't inherit that?
Under your belt. No.
That's not the way it works? Oh,
no.
Man. All right.
Before Fury looks too far ahead, his proposed trilogy fight with Deontay Wilder is quickly approaching. It's hard to argue that the buzz surrounding that fight hasn't lessened since the epic face-off the two heavyweights had in June. One person that's slightly skeptical on Fury Wilder 3 is Eddie Hearn, who tells The Sun this. Is that fight even happening? We are about to announce our next America show for October 16th, and that's only 6 weeks away, and it's tight, but it's not as a biggest card as Fury vs. Wilder 3 should be. I want it to happen 100%. I want a winner of that finally sorted so we can try again to make Anthony Joshua's undisputed fight. But if it doesn't happen, then the WBC has to finally put Fury into recess. Fury has not boxed since February 2020, and if he doesn't box in October, then it would almost be 2 years since that title was defended. Dillian White has been sitting there as interim champion, desperate and deserving of a shot. Wow. Oh man, I don't know if I agree with that. He says if this fight gets delayed again, yeah, well, you know what? Maybe so. Look, they stripped Manny Pacquiao after almost 2 years, and that was the WBA, and then he actually fought after 2 years. So maybe this kind of makes sense. What do you think?
Listen, first off, he has reason to be skeptical about this fight. We all do. We all saw what happened the first time. I mean, not blaming anybody. I mean, Fury caught COVID or whatnot, but it seemed that something was off. Now, in regards to the promotion, we don't know what Fox is waiting for, what the promoters, PBC, but it has lost some steam. In fact, a lot. Now, that doesn't mean that maybe in the last 3 weeks they go hard and people become aware. Look, it's a when it comes to America, we like heavyweight showdowns, especially a fight of this magnitude. So I don't think it would flop if they go on and fight in October, even with 3 weeks of promotion. But I do understand what Eddie Hearn is talking about. Like, it seems like, not saying that it's not going to happen, Barack, but I'm saying it's a little odd for the fight of this magnitude. Now, as far as stripping them, I'm with Eddie on this one, man. You can't keep postponing fights and moving dates forward and then hold on to a strap. You said that yourself plenty of times, man. You can't hostage a strap. There should be a certain amount of time, a statute of limitations. There should be a date, an exact date where the commission, the sanctioning body says, if you do not fight by this day, you have to release the belt. That should take place. So I'm with Eddie on that one all the way.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, first of all, but I do say that it sucks because that was the only postponement that was credited to Fury is this last one. So all of those others postponement had nothing to do with him. You know, so he was actually ready to fight. He even wanted to fight an interim fight in between, you know, and then he was ready to fight Joshua. Like, he's just been ready all of this time. Okay, the last time is him, but if it's true, it's COVID. Shouldn't we have been saying, hey, well wishes, get better? You know what I mean? That's how you know we're just all skeptical and we never believe. You know, because COVID is becoming that, you know, my grandmother died excuse, you know, and then you said that to work to your boss last year, like your grandmother died again. How many grandmas you got? You know, so it's becoming that. It's becoming something that just people just don't believe. And as far as Dillian White, I mean, once you got knocked out by Povetkin, you kind of lost that mandatory status. So you interim, what we've learned from Mauricio Suleiman, doesn't necessarily mean mandatory. But I do understand it was a little hiccup. Getting knocked out is never a hiccup, but he did get derailed, but he came back in beautiful fashion, knocked Povetkin out in the 4th round. Yes, he's been waiting, but there's so many other good guys. Even Eddie Hearn says himself that he'd like to see Dillian White versus Ruiz.
And I know Eddie says this fight might not even happen, but this is still a very important fight for Anthony Joshua as well. I mean, even if it were Wilder to win that fight, there can be a mega fight put together between Anthony Joshua if he gets past Usyk. So, you know, when you have a big fight like Joshua fighting Usyk, you know, and you have the other two guys fighting, that's just build momentum. It builds a bigger story for the heavyweight division. So, you know, this fight should happen. It needs to happen. And it'll serve Eddie Hearn and Joshua Matchroom well if it does happen.
Right. I'm not skeptical. I think it's going to happen. Now, if there's any division where people shouldn't look forward, shouldn't look past their upcoming fight, is the heavyweight division, because anything can happen.